Um, yeah, hi everyone. So this is not actually a tutorial, I'm sorry. If you would like to go to the other tutorial, this is your time. And yeah, it's not a tutorial in a way, because I'm not going to share much information. I'm not even really going to share my takes, to be honest. Because I feel like in this moment in time, in the world, in our field in general, it's more a time to like a little bit unlearn than to get more information, and to just spend some time challenging like the ways that we've been thinking about things, but gently and in a fun way. So yeah, I hope you join me in this. This is not a tutorial, it's an anti-tutorial. What's an anti-tutorial? I don't know, it's not a thing, I made it up. But yeah, so anti means against, opposed to, and tutorial is some kind of instruction. So this is a form against the standard model of teaching and instruction. And I've tried to really embrace like many dimensions of that. Yeah, it's going to require, as such, it's not like a one-sided affair. It's not like me telling you what's going on. It's a participatory thing. Yeah. And I don't know. I hope that we can kind of learn together. So this is not a tutorial, and this is not the reinforcement learning framework. Does someone want to look at this and tell me what is different in this from how we usually draw it? There's going to be a lot of participation, and again, there's no right or wrong, and let's just like break the ice. And I don't know, you can shout from your seat, I think, at this point, or there's also mics and things. But let's just kind of start a conversation. There's no action. Nice. Okay, but what's an action though? How is it different from me wishing a state? It affects the environment, yes. But maybe I'm like an agent and I'm projecting, I want this state to happen and I'm affecting the environment and I'm telling it. Is there a difference? By the way, I'm not saying that what I'm saying is right. This is just an exercise. Sorry? Well, I could be telling it the same state, right? Yes.
So think about these two fields, neuroscience, reinforcement learning. I think about them as being defined by these two different lessons. So behavioral neuroscience are interested in how the brains generate behavior.
Yes. Yes. Yes, excellent comment. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else about action or about in general? Maybe there's some weird thing going on there. Yes. You don't have to raise your hand, just speak. But speak up.
These two problems are really not quite the same, but nonetheless, there's been this really productive flow of ideas.
Right. So usually we have the environment tells the agent what state it's in, and then the agent does stuff. And here the agent's kind of projecting its state onto the environment. But why is one like more valid than the other if you think about it? Again, I'm not saying that I believe this.
What that means is that what you specify, you can't specify everything the brain can do. It's specify architecture, brain development, and learning algorithms implementing that architecture that can learn.
I'm so sorry. Could you repeat the crux of it? I feel like
Something like
states are assumed for researchers, not for agents. I love that. Any other reason or any other thought on this? But then what's the use in that, right? Like the agent has to make sense of it in some sense, right? What is it? What is the state? What is my state right now, you know?
Shapes, nature, solutions, times the
That's an excellent comment, actually, right? So we don't have like this kind of omnipotence to just wish and have it happen, at least not in theory. Okay, well, thank you so much. This was just a little exercise to warm us up in a way. Yeah, I think this question of action is really interesting and really important. I've started to view reinforcement learning as primarily a study of agency, which maybe it's because I'm part of this team that's called agency, you know. But agency is a really fascinating kind of substance and concept that has a long tradition of study and thought. And it's very related to, like, the questions that it cares about are related to the questions that we seem to care about in reinforcement learning. But it's a little kind of, but there's a trouble because I find that the notion of action in reinforcement learning, when you really dig deep into it, is not defined kind of crisply enough for us to kind of to hold on to and to do this study. This was actually a take, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, you know, we spent a lot of time in our grid worlds where we, you know, we have our set of actions that's given. I'm an agent. I can go left, right, up, down. I'm a rat in a maze, you know, I'm doing my experiment. But then what if, like, I just really want to get out? I'm done. I know how to do this thing, but I really would rather just leave. I would rather leave the grid world. I would rather leave the experiment. Okay. I know this is, I know, it's, stick with me, you know? Basically what I'm kind of gonna try to get at is there's a crucial ontological difference between those two types of actions. Where if you've given this sort of set of choices that you're making and you're traversing these choices, that's like a kind of a quite limited concept of choice and agency. So we love abbreviations, we love acronyms. So I'm going to call it Standard RL Framework, SRLF. And yeah, so the Standard RL Framework is by definition about learning within a pre-specified frame. As an agent, you're given this menu of stuff, and you learn to the best of your ability to navigate it. You know, you find your shortest path in the world, and then we kind of call that agentic. This is really important skill. This is like it's a very important, again, substance in the world, but it is specific. It is very specific. And there is a step like between that, like there's a step in kind of the rules that apply within the frame and the rules that apply outside of the frame. And often we confuse this. And so I want to kind of bring a little bit of clarity. For now, it's confusion, and it might stay like this. That's also good. To that. Okay, so so now we're going to do an exercise. We're going to do an exercise. In a few parts. And all of this, so there's going to be a few of these kinds of exercises throughout, and you're an agent. You're very welcome to engage or not engage. It's up to you. But yeah, just if you humor me, maybe you can just think today, like just starting very simple. You can think today of some choice that you've made. Just kind of try to introspect, get into your space. Think of a choice you've made today. And try to conceptualize, try to see if there is such thing. See the menu from which you've made this choice. So this is something very simple, like where you sat or what you ate or where you had your coffee or like, I don't know, which line you stood at registration, you know? Okay, so something very simple. Just think of a choice or a couple choices and think of what menu they came from.
That projects down right, which is often conceptualized as representing values, so expectations of what reward, policies, so what you should do, action values, and then the learning that allows Scraper to do this.
Maybe you can think now, who made that menu?
Specifically,
it could be you, it could be something else, it could be someone else.
Kind of like the simple starting point picture that we're going to start with, then we're going to look at evidence.
And then think of like, do we have it? Or is this like, maybe raise your hand if you're actually doing this. Thank you. Yeah, now think of like one thing you would do different. Like now that you're sitting here, you're outside of the choice. Think of like something else you would do that maybe would have felt good that you didn't see that was on the menu. It didn't seem like an option at the time.
But it's this. Just to kind of show, you know, for some reason pigeons were a popular model in
yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Next level. Now I want you to bring this lens to yourself as a researcher and kind of how you operate as a researcher, as a PhD student, as a, you know, whatever position you occupy in this wonderful community. And maybe if you can, try to imagine the menu that you are operating from. So what kind of questions do you work on? What, I don't know, how you organize your strategy, where you submit your papers, just that space. Think of a couple menus maybe. What counts as a good question? Maybe how have these things been changing over time in the last few years? Okay, raise your hand if you have it. Okay. Would we like more time or should we keep going? Raise your hand if we should keep going. Okay, clear, perfect. Yeah, okay. So, okay, then like to continue the exercise, like who designed, think of who designed the menu that you're operating from, and again, imagine what is something that you could be doing that is not on that menu, perhaps, and that would actually make you feel better.
Early in learning, don't predict outcomes, get large prediction errors, make life as the stimuli start predicted, prediction errors go down. So in really seminal experiments by Schultz and colleagues in Cambridge, they were studying the response of dopamine neurons in cats during oblivion. And so if we look first,
the point here is not to show that menus are wrong or bad. We operate within menus all the time. It's just to start to kind of to notice and to highlight the difference between operating within a menu and optimizing within a menu, and kind of knocking outside of it.
and then you had an expectation of.
Okay. Now I would love it if someone who engaged would like, or like if there's something that came up that maybe felt interesting or that you would like to share, that would be really great. But again, there's no pressure. This is no tutorial. There's no right answers. There's no wrong answers. This is just a conversation, a co-creation, a communication. Yes. Yeah.
And so to explain spatial.
Go to where? Uh-huh.
So really the insight is that whereas in the school of argument, you're just learning the immediate text. Actually, the problem that audience face is this delayed thought problem where you need to learn about the long run consequences. And so really insights from dynamic programming,
Wow, yeah, thank you. These are quite like, that's quite cool menu. You've got quite a diverse set of things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Relationships complicated organization kind of engage the goal, then able to define value functions locally and
That's a really good, I think that's a really good point. And I like the connection, or like, so you're saying that now that when you step out of the menu, then you also feel like you're going to have to revise your reward, and then you're like, oh my God. Right. Yeah, I think I really agree, actually. And this is why like menus are kind of good in the sense that they keep things stable. Like, you know, we can actually know what we're doing. Yeah, but they also keep things stable, right? And they keep things kind of fixed.
So,
yeah, thank you so much. So basically, like what I would like to say is, this is not a kind of a decorative difference. In the standard reinforcement learning framework, the way that we define it, and this is not a revelation or a very deep point either, it's just another way to say it. The agent exists only through the definition of that menu. So you have to define the menu and then you become an agent. Okay. And yeah. And if we want to make the step from the intelligence inside the frame to intelligence outside the frame, then outside of the frame, the logic might be different, and I believe that it is different. And the agent actually emerges, the agent becomes as it defines this menu. So as you were kind of starting to, and we're going to do more of it, expand or renegotiate, you were kind of changing what agent you are. And again, it's not right or wrong. It's not either or. We need both. Yeah, but we can't kind of, but we've been really focused on one, is the thread here. Yeah. So, Yeah, so now we're going to do another exercise, the boundary practice, agency as cut making, where we're going to really kind of try to experience that practice of what it means to be agentic in the way that you define your cut or your menu. So starting very, very, very simple, if you can just bring the attention to yourself for a moment. And try to feel right now, like where you end and where not you begin. And you can take your skin as like the boundary of your skin as that example or like as that boundary for now. And as like basically you are just within everything that's inside your skin. Think about like reflect on like the actions that you might be able to do as you are in that boundary. Really take it seriously.
So on individual trials, you get these traces shown here. And what we're going to do is just do a linear regression at each time point to predict the traces.
Maybe now you can expand the boundary to include like the air around you and the chair that you sit on. Yeah, think of like how your sense of action and stuff changes. This is just a little warm-up exercise.
Earlier in the trial, when the animal receives information about whether they've reached the up or the down pause, value of that up or down pause, which we estimate by fitting.
Maybe now you can imagine that like you are the whole room, like your boundary is not as physical. And you can kind of, it's an exercise, and you can kind of think what kind of things are possible then.
So this state of like when you enter that state, value of the state, that state is the new state, so the value of that state will be positive. Trial outcome, that state is the previous state.
Sorry?
So this pattern of a biphasic value.
Yes. What's inside? Yeah, like even tighter, like as in, yes. So you're suggesting the next part. Is that right? Yeah, no, that's great. I love it because that's the point. Exactly. Yeah, and then you can kind of imagine yourself being very small, just like the little dot in your sternum. And your body becomes part of the environment. So when you do that, then your body becomes part of the environment. So this is just intended to show you how we draw these lines in the sand and how with each line we redefine what's an agent, what's an environment, and different things become possible. Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna do more of these. So now we're gonna do a relational one. So please find someone sitting next to you if you can. Turn towards each other. If you feel comfortable, again, like there's no forced invitations here. Okay. Okay, thank you, 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 thank you. That's really great. So we're gonna do the same, and then now we're gonna do it as an exercise. So we're gonna do kind of a progression of 3 cuts. In the first cut, you are you, they are them. It is very clear that you are you and they are them, okay? In the second cut, it's somehow you are one system with 2 nervous systems acting, and you're just kind of trying to really feel that, whatever that means. Again, there's no right or wrong. And in the third cut, you are the space in between you. So you're both like putting the attention into the space in between you. And you can be silent, you can talk. It seems like people want to talk. And you can even like do movement if you wish. Okay, so 3 cuts, separate, together, space in between, about maybe 1 minute each. Go. Okay, so now shift the cut to the next one, please. And the next one, the final one, shift the cut. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Angela. Thank you so much. Okay, and then just another final part. So please hold on to your kind of impressions of this. There will be an opportunity to share. And just a final one. So this was spatial cuts. Now, again, we're going to have a little chat, but now you're going to kind of rotate your kind of, you will think of yourself as like a researcher. Then you can think of yourself as like a tourist in Dublin, or or an inhabitant of Dublin. I don't know, and like someone maybe from your hometown. You can choose maybe what these are. These are just suggestions, but try to kind of deliberately, as you're saying something, you shift the places where that comes from, if that's okay. Amazing, thank you. Okay, so and we'll do this for a little bit. I will tell you. So let's go. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So you
Yeah, would someone like to share any observations or questions or reflections at this point? Say more. Beautiful, yes. Multiplicities and absolutely. Right. So this is not to say that you kind of have to pick one thing. It's consistent with that, right? It is about, yeah, the fluidity of choosing. Mm. Mhm.
see series of
Yes. Mm.
So so what do you see when you look? Well, it
Yeah.
Dawson's right. One thing that is really prominent are signals that seem to relate to band interaction. So this is a task coming acts where
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Beautifully said. Yeah, I will leave that here for now.
ops is that there are neurons in Dawson's striatum which which seem to really care about the value of one or other intention. So this neuron basically differentiates between when the value of the left action is
Right. I think that's what we're asking, essentially, right? We're interrogating this relationship between choosing your interface and acting within an interface, and that relationship with agency and agents, and therefore reinforcement learning. So yes. Yeah. Mm.
different bit of straight, ventral straight.
Mhm.
So
Me too.
state, so long run expected discount state. So this data from Benver and Reddish, rats are running through a series of T-junctions to get to here. And then they choose where to go left or right, and there's two debris levers here.
Yeah.
Section. The activity of there are a lot of neurons that essentially ramp up.
So are you saying that you think that there should be inherently a difference in the way that we consider this kind of human deliberation and reflection and agency and artificial? Yes. I mean, right now we're just kind of, I guess, in that little intersection. So we have to figure out that relationship in like what we want the agent to do and like how to act within the frame and how to act outside the frame. But yeah, we have constraints in general. You have constraints as a physical body. The computational agent has its constraints, right? Yeah, it's in general, like kind of the philosophy lens through the talk is post-humanism. And also this idea that like our ideas about artificial agents, even though we think they're like objective, but they're also just kind of part of our perception, if that makes sense. So I feel like I can only reason about human agency because that's the only like thing that we look through. I'm not sure if that was what you were getting at, but that's what I kind of got. It was more of a comment than a question. Okay, thank you. Yes, one final one, and then we move on.
Just essentially very weak simulation. See if the choices are strongly influenced by the
Ooh, this is such a good comment, because I feel like this is exactly what like acting within a menu is, right? I'm telling you, like, raise your arm or get kicked out, and then you can take your actions, but like the situation's been set. I've decided your situation, you know? Exactly. And so this is perfect. This is perfect because I think I think this is what it is. Like, agency in a substantial sense is not what remains after we make the cut, but it is the thing that takes the cut. Yeah, any somehow reactions to this, maybe? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
What they've done is they've got slice brain slices where you have cortex and striate same size. Some of the fibers going to cortex and striate are then they actually come with a very
And we won't. I think there's enough that we've talked about reward. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, so this is like, yeah, so I'm challenging, right? Like the way, basically I'm challenging the way that we define an agent. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
what defines that strength synapse.
Yeah.
Post-synaptic potential you measure in the striate
Right.
cell.
Thank you for that. And that is true. In a sense, this state, again, this is not a tutorial, you know, so this statement, it might be stricter than it needs to be, but I do believe it. At the same time, like, human beings are actually the ones who are very capable in changing their menus and changing their frames and changing their cuts. So the evolutionary story is one story, but it is not, in my opinion, kind of the sole shaper of, you know, our species and the intelligences on our planet, right? Yeah, so it gets into that kind of, it does get into that kind of territory because we are talking about agency and freedom. But yeah, this is kind of, I am making this purposely non-academic, but this is the kind of post-humanist performative account of agency. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So really, I think the message away from this, the synaptic synapse depends on the
Yeah, like the homunculus fallacy or whatever, the infinite recurse. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking that actually as I was making it, a lot of my early research was in hierarchical like things and hierarchical learning. And I think in a way, this way of thinking is an alternative to hierarchies, which are important and do exist. Like we do construct hierarchies of menus and stuff for sure. But this is kind of, I think a lot of questions that we try to solve with hierarchical methods are actually about changing the frame. And that is not in the same substance. It's like an orthogonal substance. And we will get maybe a little bit more into that. And yeah, so, and both are agency. Again, this is like a poetic interpretation. It's just one agency. And actually we even have with my amazing collaborator, Dave Abel, there's a paper at this conference that is called Agency is Frame Dependent. And so there's this one type of agency that depends on the frame. And I just argue that it's limited and that I'm interested in the agency that is setting the frame. I feel like I'm starting to give takes. This is not good. We have to move on. Yeah, so just to this is just to say that, like, hopefully as you were doing these exercises, you felt how your environment was shifting with each cut. It was enacted rather than it was like some stable, inert thing that was out there. And this is something I think that RL researchers, anyway, we take for granted. So we are always actively enacting, and the environment always actively enacts us. And this is not like a feel-good sentiment. It's an ontological, like factual statement. So where am I taking us? You know, I'm just kind of trying to, you know, dismantling the agent, dismantling the environment. Like, what are we doing here? I want to remember brilliant Niels Bohr, who said the opposite of a profound truth may well be another profound truth. Okay, so he said the opposite of fact is falsehood, but the opposite of a profound truth may be a profound truth. And what he was referring to was the complementarity principle in quantum physics that he worked on. That we know actually it's more popular to call it the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. These were parallelly developed. But they do, Bohr and Heisenberg had different ontologies about it, where for Heisenberg, it was like you couldn't measure two things at once, the position and the momentum of the particle, the wave and the particle nature of matter. And to Bohr, it was that they didn't actually exist at once. So this is to tie it with this idea that we're like enacting our worlds on all the time. The ontology is not as fixed and set and solid as we kind of have been used to thinking. I find this kind of fundamental dual nature of matter really like essential to grasp somehow as scientists, because even though we're not physicists, I'm not a physicist, maybe there are physicists here that know this much better than I do. But again, it challenges the entire scientific method in a way, you know, because what it talks about the nature of measurement. We are used to thinking that measurement and knowledge are neutral practices, are neutral things, that measurement just measures what's there. But basically what Bohr, what quantum physics tells us is that the apparatus, the measurement apparatus, actually it determines the nature of the thing that you observe. the nature of matter changes as you change the apparatus. Like matter doesn't just exist as one or the other or both. How you measure it is what brings it into being. So reinforcement learning framework is one apparatus through which it's like a lens through which we view intelligence, and we say the agent acts and the world responds. Another apparatus that we have kind of collectively tried to enact together here is that the agent actually emerges through action and the world arises in the same gesture. These do mirror the particle wave complementarity. So again, it's not one over the other. It's like it's the what one obscures and what and how we can reconcile them, because the classical model is kind of a particle model where you have these entities that are defined and they're interacting like Newtonian physics. And this other model is phenomenological, where phenomenon of participation in this cut is what determines the things. And phenomenon, this is a cool fact, Bohr kind of, I don't remember exactly, but he said something about how phenomenon and wholeness for him are synonymous. Yeah, so
might provide another information channel which conveys information rather accurately. It's essentially just kind of
yeah, but that's just like the I don't know. Yeah, any apparatus obscures some things, right? So there's ontology, and then there's the apparatus, the way that it's seen by the apparatus. And we can't be in the ontology. We have to use an apparatus. We can't. Sorry? Let me kind of process actually what you were getting at. Yeah, but that is basically, yeah, I'm just calling attention to the fact that there is an apparatus, you know? We can't avoid them. We can't avoid apparatuses. And so, so therefore, as scientists, what we have to do is we have to be really responsible and conscious of how we design them, because how we design the apparatus is what world it brings into being, literally. Because an apparatus decides what matters. So yeah, so let's do another little exercise where we shift our apparatuses. Yeah, we're gonna okay. Yeah, so we're gonna choose a scene here. It is quite like quite, I don't know, brutalist landscape that we have, but it's very beautiful as well. And then we're gonna observe it through, like in the first part, we're gonna observe it through 3 different apparatuses: the engineers or the scientist apparatus, an animal's apparatus, and an artist's apparatus. So we're gonna like maybe spend a minute or 2 in each, and just really, again, play with me, you know, and try to notice, like, what would you notice in one? What would you notice in the other? Yeah, and that's it. And we'll do this for a few minutes, and I will tell you when to shift them. So. Yeah, also feel free, if it's more fun, feel free to communicate in some way. Okay, so now you're doing the engineer's apparatus. Yep. Okay, now shift to the animals apparatus, please. And then the artist apparatus. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. If there's any like fun burning reflections that want to be shared right now, they can be. Otherwise, we can move on to the next part of the exercise. Okay, well, hopefully you enjoyed that. And then now we're going to try to design, we're going to maybe spend 5 minutes designing an apparatus with the notion of like, what are you measuring? So you're going to pick like an area of your life that you track, that you care about in some way, productivity, like health, whatever, but yours. You're going to think about how you measure it. You're going to think about what your measurement obscures, like what does it make invisible. So this is the trick with an apparatus, is that it always makes some things visible and some things invisible. Hopefully, maybe you felt that as you were shifting your lenses just now, even though it was just perception. Yeah. And then, and you can kind of, maybe you can go through a progression if you wish, but you can do your thing. You can try to kind of
Okay, well, we might
edit your apparatus. Just a different one. Again, not better. It doesn't have to be better or worse. Not everything is on a linear scale. And think of like how that changes your world. And then for the final part, you can also think of like if you were, yeah, actually, let's leave it here, and then I will maybe mention the final part. So, okay, so just think about area of your life. What are you measuring, and what does it show? How could you redesign it if you wanted? spend a few minutes. You can do it alone or in groups. Yeah, go.
Which essentially fire very specific actions that you stimulate by
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, yeah, you can continue the design throughout the conference. Does someone maybe want to share something about their experience of this exercise? Or just about the apparatus, like, I don't know, something that came into view or something that was obscured by the apparatus of this exercise. If not, that's fine. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think I'm not going to try and give you like tidy accounting for events. So I don't feel like I have one myself. Some of the ideas that are out there is that action involves interaction with the cortex. And you brainstorm and you might use this pathway from the pathway back to the thalamus to gain attention to the cortex, right? But I think also you have to really take seriously the idea that cortex is much more fundamentally involved. So I'd like to say a little bit about cortex. I think what we're trying to do is try and get So, okay, so we can start by thinking about the idea that cortex is basically doing statements. Forget about this. So, one way of thinking about central cortex is that it considers behaviorally relevant to kind of concept. That's probably best where you look early cortex, see neurons that low-level features like forward stages. If you look much higher in the vision cortex, the hierarchy, you see neurons with tuning. So in this case, these are neurons that are exquisitely tuned to subtle features, base.
Thank you so much.
It's also recently trend factor.
Yes.
Essentially, take a deep.
Yeah, please.
I look at when it's similar different
Okay.
network. Hierarchy. Here you find that essentially the earlier layers of vision cortex look more like lower levels of higher levels. So it really does seem like one way of doing is converting this not full actionable information at this level to much more. So how does cortex do this?
That's exactly it.
Find the pathways which essentially originate structure and interestingly, most regions of cortex, if you have one area of another area of cortex, it's like the other area of cortex. Connections tend to exist. And there's as many neurons and feedback pathways as there are. So it's really not. So why is it almost? Well,
that's a beautiful, it's a beautiful way to put it. I like the price for measurement. I think that's a good, and I think a lot of the point as well is to, like, everything starts with like being able to observe, right? So we can observe the inherited apparatuses that we have. And then, it's not like, then it's not the game of designing the perfect one, but then just being fluid within them, right? So as soon as you're out of the apparatus, recognizing it. So thank you so much. Beautiful reflection. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Many different schemes organize this, but essentially the basic idea is that the errors down hierarchy, feedback connection, really influential idea around cortex is that it's hierarchical coding. Higher level regions send predictions.
Yeah, I try to stay away from reward because I think we've talked about it so much. I completely agree. And I completely agree. One more and then we will go.
So in this kind of if we take two sort of idea that cortex is basically building generative models, three inputs that allow so essentially it's doing unsupervised or self-supervised learning, whereas
you're getting into some deep territory, I think.
Curious architecture, both really resembles architecture. Learning, but you have a hierarchically organized current network.
I think the concept that there is like blame and punishment already takes away agency. I think in this kind of larger form of agency, there is no Because if something's assigning you blame and punishment, then you're already less agentic in that, right? So I'm interested in this, like, in this. I think it is a force. I think it is a thing. This is a game of definitions, and we can, right? Think, yeah. I'm not actually sure if I'm ready to give my like definition of agency. Definitely, I don't think we can define agents because agents are like ontologically separate entities that resist definition because you cannot really define things very well. But I think this force of agency that does the cuts, that, you know, that makes the world, I think that that is a real phenomenon and that we participate in it all the time and that it does have a direction. And it's not so much like, yeah. But this is maybe we can chat more because I can't give you like a very good response to this. Thank you. Yeah, the point was the point was to feel of the apparatus, and just we have this responsibility in how we design it for all these reasons because it necessarily leaves things out. So again, it's not about getting it perfectly, it's about knowing what we're doing. So one form, this is just to lighten us up. Okay, we're actually low on time now, so I will go maybe quicker. This is just to lighten us up, but because this is not a tutorial. But just like the particle and the wave, intelligence has these fundamentally different textures. And really one thing that the RL apparatus, but really the optimization apparatus for intelligence leaves out is this notion of relationality, of being like inevitably always already embedded in a messy web where everything is entangled and we can't cleanly do this stuff the way that it's so comforting for us. And it's not, at the same time, there is a real it's not just an aspirational thing. There is an intelligence to it that is worth looking at, seeing, where it's not about doing the best thing, but it's about listening and acting in the same gesture. So one really good example of this is like in music or in dance, you can imagine two musicians having rehearsed their pieces very well and performing together. This is a beautiful thing. But it's a very different form of intelligence when there's improvisation going on. Okay, so you are, in every moment, you are so actively tuned in and listening to what the other person is doing, and with your listening, you are responding as you're listening. It becomes a little bit less clear of who's the agent and who's the environment. There's this, yeah. So it's in response to. Okay, so we'll do a small exercise in this. Where, yeah, we'll do in pairs. And let's try it silent, because I'm curious about how that will go. Yeah, maybe you can pick. So, okay, so we'll do basically one person does a gesture, the other person mirrors it. Then you switch, and then you kind of like both participate in it. So there's no leader and follower. So you do it in 3 parts. One person does a gesture, you follow.
Thank you for the
Then you do the gesture, the other person follows. Then you don't say the roles, you just do it. And you just do it for a little bit and try to like, remember the cut exercise, like try to place your attention really fully on responding, leading, or being in that middle. Yeah, so please. Oh, 10. 10? But that's less than, okay. I think it would be good just because, yeah. Just because that is the time, yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, 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 thank you. Okay, well, that was quieter, but like, yeah, maybe we won't do like a big debrief here, but keep your questions for later because I want to make sure that we have the Q&A at the end. But just maybe notice if there were any shifts in how you experience this exercise. And the point is to just show that there's a very profound form of intelligence that is not about doing the best thing, but is about responding well and listening. Yeah, there's a phrase that equates intelligence actually with responsibility. So we really, as scientists, as like people, AI adjacent community, we we do choose what we enact, and we have a great responsibility with that. So we must exercise our own agencies to not just choose within the frames that we're given, but to actively choose the worlds that we want to participate in. And this is reflected this is not some like out there thing. This is reflected in like every question we ask, how we approach, like we have to understand that what we're seeing, that we're not seeing and we're not capturing everything. Yeah, humans actually are quite funny in that sense, because we have really carried on quite far with constructing our apparatuses and frames, and we've moved quite a bit away from a frame that kind of really made sense for us in the first place. And that's not a flaw, that's kind of part of the trajectory. But yeah, we are kind of this form of intelligence that we focus on is one thing, but our fundamental intelligence was never always not separate from other intelligences on the planet and nature. Yeah. Intellect makes a beautiful servant, but a terrible master. We have to restore the relationship with the frame. Again, it's not about one over the other. We have to reconcile these modes. And we can't do that if we're not seeing that there's something to reconcile. So what would AI look like if we're starting from a principle of relation rather than solving an optimization? We're not, it's an illusion that we're these objective onlookers trying to explain nature and kind of use it for our goals. This is an apparatus. It's also an illusion that there is some kind of singular vision for intelligence or AI that we're in competition racing to. In general, we have to embrace this kind of multiplicitous mindset and understand that we're already part of ecosystems, and that's what it will continue to look like with the technologies and with the science that we develop as well. And we have to nurture and be responsible for our ecosystems. So that's it for the anti-tutorial. Thank you so much. There is a reading list, if you'd like, that contains the philosophical backbone of some of what I talked about. There are, also I promised to share some meta principles for doing research that steps outside of the frame. These are just some thoughts, and we can kind of address them in the Q&A if you wish. Actually, I will go through them, but you can't exit the frame unless you know it. You have to know the frame you're stepping out of. Do trust your intuition, but also like the lenses through which the intuition is reflected are often need time to sharpen. So your intuition might be right, but the form of it might not be ready. Look for reflection, like ideas mirrored in different disciplines, but then also diffraction, like look for kind of productive differences and the ways and what that produces. This is a term from Karen Barad that I really like. This type of research is a little bit different, and it's not a quick fix kind of thing. You kind of have to, if you choose to follow some form of that path, you have to suffer a bit. You have to go into it becomes a little bit more personal, let's say. And also, it's not opinion. It's not like, even though it might look unconventional, but in general, this is not like, oh, now I feel like this should be true. There is still a scholarship to it, and kind of a cross-disciplinary, cross-frame thing going on. So anyway, just some little reflections, and thank you so much. I'm happy to take questions.